Thanks for joining us here on the CBN News Channel. I'm Ephraim Graham.
And I'm Charlene Israel. The IRS targeting of conservative political groups went beyond those with Tea Party or Patriot in their names. The agency admits it also targeted groups that express concern about taxes, government spending, and debt. Even several groups that only wanted to, quote, make America a better place to live. Now there are new allegations that senior IRS officials knew about the targeting as early as 2011.
Republican lawmakers took to the airwaves over the weekend, slamming the IRS and demanding a full investigation.
It is absolutely chilling that the IRS was singling out conservative groups for extra review.
I don't care if you're a conservative, a liberal, a Democrat, or a Republican. This should send a chill up your spine. This is something that we cannot let stand. It needs to have a full investigation.
During the 2012 election cycle, many Tea Party groups like this one in Ohio applied for tax-exempt status under the federal tax code. And many, like this one, received an unexpected barrage of unusual and time-consuming questions, ranging from membership lists to board members' resumes.
This isn't rocket science. We know what the rules are.
The ACLJ has been representing Tea Party groups in their case against the government.
We represent 27 clients here. Now, 15 of those we've been able to resolve with the IRS while we've been informing the IRS national headquarters here in D.C. that there was a bad policy out there where these groups from around the country.
Critics say President Obama should apologize and order a thorough investigation.
What we know about this is of concern, and we certainly find the actions taken, as reported, to be inappropriate. And we would fully expect the investigation to be thorough and for corrections to be made.
The IRS blames low-level employees in Cincinnati for targeting the conservative groups. But the Inspector General's report due out this week reportedly claims that senior IRS officials knew about the targeting as early as 2011.
There's evidence that higher-level supervisors were aware of this, and the IRS was not forthcoming in telling Congress about the problem.
The IRS may also have targeted some Jewish groups, according to a report by the Jewish press. The pro-Israel organization Z Street filed a lawsuit against the IRS, claiming it was told their tax-exempt status needed additional scrutiny for being, quote, connected to Israel.
Republicans are calling for an independent investigation of the attacks that killed 4 Americans at a consulate in Benghazi, Libya. The head of the House Oversight Panel is pursuing depositions from Admiral Mike Mullen and retired Ambassador Thomas Pickering. Pickering led the initial investigation into the attacks and the administration's response. Republicans say new revelations that the talking points went through a dozen revisions show the administration was trying to hide something.
I'd call it a cover-up. I would call it a cover-up in the extent that there was willful removal of information which was obvious. I don't know what level of scandal, quote unquote, this rises to, but I know it rises to the level where it requires a full and complete ventilation of these facts.
Congress will hold a number of hearings to look into the Benghazi affair in the coming weeks.
2 children are among the 19 people wounded after gunmen opened fire at a Mother's Day parade in New Orleans. This is cell phone video of people treating the injured lying in the street. 2 men, 7 women, and a 10-year-old boy and girl were shot. The children were only grazed and are listed in good condition. The shooting happened just before 2 p.m. Sunday, a little more than a mile from the heart of the French Quarter. Police say 3 men were seen fleeing the scene. A social club called the Original Big Seven organized the parade to honor mothers. Police are looking for those suspects as well as a motive for the shooting.
Immigration reform is advancing through Congress, but there are still plenty of roadblocks ahead. Now some are saying evangelicals could be the key to success. David Brody has this story now from Washington.
In the next few months, we should have a better idea whether millions of illegal immigrants will get an eventual pathway to citizenship. First, there's an 844-page bill to go through.
Our staff has been working for days trying to decipher this gobbledygook.
Republican Senator Marco Rubio, one of the bill's key sponsors, knows the kinks need to be worked out.
It's not ideal, but it's tough and it's fair and it's enforceable.
Make no mistake, the recent climate change on immigration has been propelled largely by the evangelical community. Polls show 60% of white evangelical Christians support a pathway to citizenship as long as there are some requirements in the bill.
Initially, evangelicals were way behind. What we see now is that evangelical leadership is walking in tandem. It's walking at the rhythm of the beat of immigration reform.
Many conservative Christian groups, like Focus on the Family, are now on board, thanks to the work of the Evangelical Immigration Table. Its goals: respect the God-given dignity of every person and respect the rule of law. This table also brings together conservatives like Matthew Staver of Liberty Counsel and liberal evangelicals like Jim Wallace. They're pushing congressional leaders hard with a national radio ad campaign focusing on helping the stranger among us, cited in Matthew 25.
Christ calls evangelicals to compassion and justice.
Senator Lindsey Graham tells CBN News that the message from evangelicals has been loud and clear.
The evangelical support that's been so helpful to me has one common thread to it. They want to be practical and they recognize these people are human beings.
But there's a potential stumbling block to that support. The latest talk on Capitol Hill centers on language that could be in the bill that would allow gay couples to sponsor their partners for U.S. residents.
The evangelical community and the Catholic Church will not support a bill that turns the efforts to reform immigration into a same-sex marriage debate. That's not going to, the market will not bear that.
Successful immigration reform could be a political win for the Republican Party.
At least half the Hispanic community is programmed to be Republican. They're religious, they're pro-family, they're entrepreneurial, they're pro-life.
So providing that border security requirements are strengthened, then it looks like a deal might actually get done.
Ultimately, I believe the American people are compassionate people. If they feel like they're being protected and the federal government is doing its job, then we'll find a way to deal humanely and compassionately with the 12 million people who are here.
David Brody, CBN News, Washington.
New York City lawmakers are considering allowing non-citizens to vote in local elections. The proposal discussed at a recent city council meeting would give the vote to an estimated 800,000 green card and visa holders. Advocates say non-citizens living here also have a stake in society. Opponents, including Mayor Michael Bloomberg, say voting should be reserved for citizens only. About half a dozen cities in Maryland currently allow non-citizens to vote, and Chicago lets immigrants vote in school board elections.
3D printing is revolutionizing the way we make things in the U.S. President Obama even praised the technology in his State of the Union address. But a Texas man's potentially lethal 3D creation has the government stepping in and blocking distribution. This is the world's first 3D printed plastic gun. 25-year-old law student Cody Wilson has been working on the prototype for more than a year. Now his group, Defense Distributed, claims it succeeded. It's called the Liberator, and it's made from the $8,000 Stratasys 3D printer.
That was always the goal. The entire goal from the beginning was, can you print a gun on a 3D printer? Can you do it?
Wilson released the blueprints online for anyone to download, but the State Department quickly stepped in and blocked the company from distributing the details, citing international arms control laws. New York Senator Chuck Schumer and several other members of Congress are calling for 3D printed guns to be made illegal.
A terrorist, someone who's mentally ill, a spousal abuser, a felon, can essentially open a gun factory in their garage. And the only thing they need, a computer and a little over $1,000.
Lawmakers also worry the plastic guns would be untraceable, but advocates of the guns disagree.
I don't think there's any practical danger of somebody printing an untraceable weapon, and even if they did, the round would most certainly set off metal detectors.
Ballistic experts also warned firing a gun made from plastic could be lethal to the user. The pressure involved in firing a bullet could put too much stress on the plastic exterior. Meanwhile, Wilson's blueprints were downloaded more than 100,000 times before the State Department stepped in. But in the U.S., companies with 3D printing capabilities say they can't produce the device because of laws against production of such weapons. Now, Cody Wilson says he is on safe ground in this fight because regulations do not cover material in a library, and he says the internet is like a library.
Coming up, a shocking twist in the fight against the sex trade. Why does the UN want to make it easier for predators to take advantage of children?
Today we're on a field trip to discover what inflation is doing to our paper money. In this hand is a $20 bill, and in this hand is a $20 US gold coin. They used to have the same buying power, but how much can they buy today? In this first basket is what my $20 bill buys: milk, bread, peanut butter, and jelly. And here's what one $20 gold coin will buy: 6 baskets full, worth nearly $2,000, almost 100 times more food, simply by owning gold dollars instead of paper dollars. History shows that the gold coins have been the best way to beat the rising cost of living. So class, the moral is that unless you want to live on peanut butter and jelly sandwiches in the future, you should turn some paper dollars into gold coins now. How and why is explained in a new book, The Great Debasement. Call the number below for a totally free copy. And that's the simple truth.
Help! If an emergency happened right now, you can have help at the push of a button with Medical Alert.
Remember when I took that fall, Mary?
Oh, yes, that was terrible.
Yes, it was.
Help!
And I thought, what if you hadn't been there? I ordered my Medical Alert the next day.
I can't describe how safe I feel now with my Medical Alert. You didn't know I was wearing it, did you?
Medical Alert is easy to install, waterproof, and covers you inside your home and out.
It helps me feel safe from fires, break-ins.
And of course, a Medical Alert. And if you don't have a home phone, don't worry. They have that covered.
There's always help at the push of a button. Don't wait till you need it.
Get Medical Alert for less than $1 a day. There are no long-term contracts. Order now and get your second button free. Call for your free brochure.
For your free Medical Alert system with second button free, call 800-575-8507.
Hello? Is this thing on? Hey, kids, do you love games? And do you love discovering things? Well, do ya?
Then you're gonna love this. It's the new free Superbook Kids Bible app. You can play games, watch videos, find answers to your questions, and a whole lot more. The new Superbook Kids Bible app. Free downloads available on iTunes now.
This week, members of more than 95 pro-family groups from across the globe will gather in Sydney, Australia for the 7th World Congress of Families. The Congress is a time for these groups to share information about the threats to families and plan their response through policy and ministry initiatives. One of the biggest and most persistent problems, sex trafficking. More than 5.5 million children are victims of human trafficking today. The trafficking and sexual slavery of children has risen nearly 10% in the past 5 years, and every 30 seconds, another child becomes a victim.
Justin Murph is director of Set Free Now, a coalition of CBN ministries dedicated to fighting sex trafficking. Recently on our Christian World News program, George Thomas spoke with Justin about sex trafficking and its impact on families.
Talk specifically about the impact that sex trafficking has on the strength, weakness of the family today.
Absolutely. Well, family is the nucleus of society. If we want a strong society, we have to have a strong family. And at the threat of families today is human trafficking around the world. Sadly, in some third world countries, families are actually the instigator of child sex trafficking, selling children sometimes for a refrigerator, a television, or maybe even $60, say, in Bangladesh.
There is an initiative from the United Nations being pushed by the UN that would, in essence, lower the age of consent to 12 or 13 years old. That's unbelievable.
It is. There's a move, actually, George. What's happening now is the UN is saying that children should have more autonomy rights, including sexual autonomy, lowering the age of sexual consent to 12 or 13, which in essence would legalize child prostitution around the world, making them more of a target for pedophiles.
And you're going to the World Congress in Sydney, Australia. Again, I talked about the coalition of ministries at CBN Region University, Operation Blessing, Orphans Promise. What's your role at this Congress? And my understanding is that you're the only group talking about sex trafficking. That's
right. We're the only members of the World Congress of Family that's committed to talking about sex trafficking. The other thing that we're doing at the conference is hosting dinner, but also speaking on several different lectures about child sex trafficking in particular and its effect on the family, its effect on the economy. Sex trafficking is a $32 billion a year industry. And so it's big money, and it has a dramatic effect on the family.
And Set Free now is focusing on Brazil specifically. Right. Obviously, the World Cup is coming there in a couple of years. Big event for Latin America. But why Brazil when it comes to the issue of sex trafficking?
Well, Brazil is unique in that there's actually a large number of children in Brazil. About 30% of all the victims of sex trafficking in Brazil are children. Yeah. It's a regional problem, though. It's not just about Brazil. It's all the countries in Latin America that feed into Brazil. But think about it, George. In the next few years, they're going to host the World Cup and the Olympics. And so whatever we do now is really strategic from now until 2016. Yeah. And so we're working with churches, partnering with organizations like Renas, Boa na Rede in Brazil to actually unite all of these organizations together to combat human trafficking.
Talk about that, Justin, because who has the answer? Is it these various NGOs which are doing great work? Yeah. But I think you have the perspective that it is perhaps the church that responds to
really
this.
It is. It's, the church has a mandate to care for the least of these, to care for the widow, the orphan, the downtrodden, and you know, Jesus had a deep affinity for children. And so in that same vein, the church really has a responsibility to step up. And what we're doing is saying, how can we come alongside you and help you? We're not trying to force anything on the churches, but the churches themselves are rising up. 400 different denominations and organizations in Brazil that are faith-based are already working to combat human trafficking. So we're just joining that effort and saying, how can we, through the power of media, social media, television, come alongside you and help.
And it's very encouraging that in the last few years you have seen the global church get involved in issues of justice, specifically with human trafficking, sex trafficking. Justice, it's just an incredible encouragement all around. Thank you, sir. Safe travels to you as you go to Sydney, Australia.
Thanks, George.
Okay.
Up next, they are America's invisible children, hundreds of thousands of kids living without a place to call home. Find out how one group is helping them. That's next.
Attention sleep apnea patients. Are you tired of the expense and hassle of getting your CPAP and BiPAP supplies? Are you fed up with dealing with ill-fitting, leaking, or worn-out masks and straps? Are you worried about the effects that unsanitary tubes, cushions, and filters have on your health? If you said yes to any of these questions, Allied Medical Supply Network has the solution to your problems. You could qualify to have your supplies regularly delivered right to your door at little or no cost to you. That's right, no more inconvenience, no worn-out masks and straps, no more unsanitary equipment, just restful sleep. Call Allied Medical Supply Network today to determine if you may qualify to receive your fresh, brand-name supplies at little or no cost. Don't delay. Call us now to see if you are eligible to save money on regular delivery of your CPAP and BiPAP supplies. Call 1-800-815-9947. That's 1-800-815-9947. Or go to cpapsupplyhelpline.com.
Announcing an important breakthrough in healthcare that can benefit everyone. If you or anyone you love needs affordable health insurance, regardless of a pre-existing medical condition, call Quick Insurance 123 today and get the immediate relief you deserve. Quick Insurance 123 was created to provide affordable health insurance to all uninsured Americans, with or without pre-existing conditions. This is not a discount card. This is a real insurance program that lets you choose from many affordable health plans, with access to doctors, hospitals, emergency services, and more. So call the number on your screen now and get the health coverage you need just for calling. As a special bonus, we'll send you a free prescription savings card that could save you up to 85% on your prescriptions. That's right, you could save up to 85% on your prescriptions just for calling. Call Quick Insurance 123 to find out how you can get affordable health insurance and receive your free prescription savings card just for calling. Don't wait. Getting a free quote is as easy as 1, 2, 3. Call today.
Each year, thousands of children enter America's foster care system. Finding a safe home for these children can be overwhelming for the social workers.
That's right. But across the country, the body of Christ is helping to ease that burden, especially in Denver, Colorado, where churches are providing loving homes for children who so desperately need them.
These are just a few of the almost 500,000 children in U.S. foster care.
Will I ever be enough to be loved?
I have a dream. This time, someone wanted me and I didn't have to say goodbye.
The Bible speaks of these children and the answer to their needs. Religion that God our Father accepts as pure and faultless is this: to look after orphans and widows in their distress.
Here in Colorado, the faith community is answering the biblical call to care for orphans by connecting children in the state's foster care system with families within the local church who are interested in adoption or foster care.
Sharon Ford oversees adoption and foster care services for Colorado's Department of Human Services.
We try to reach out to their relatives. Sometimes relatives aren't equipped to provide that safety net for their loved ones, and so we bring them into foster care. So these two young people.
In 2004, that included nearly 900 children and teenagers. But in recent years, that number has dropped significantly.
All across Colorado, we have pastors and lay leaders and other faith leaders going out and sharing our message for us and saying, can you make room in your heart and in your home for the kids that are in Colorado who need to be in a place that's safe?
Children in foster care system have had the one thing that they should be able to count on fall apart, and that is their family.
Pastor Robert Gelinas of Denver's Colorado Community Church wanted to give those children a better life. In 2007, he started Project 127, a faith-based organization that encourages Christian parents to rescue kids from the system.
When you look at the sheer number of followers of Jesus, the sheer number of congregations out there, it is very possible for there to be a family waiting for every single child in foster care. But right now what we have is children waiting for families.
Project 127 started out recruiting families to adopt kids. Its focus now includes finding parents willing to foster kids temporarily or long-term. The project's president, Shelley Raddick, says families across the state have stepped up to help.
We have over 400 families from churches in Colorado that are engaged at some point in the process.
Kevin and Janelle Lusk had 8 kids of their own when they were asked to take in more.
We were challenged by Project 127 to consider obeying the word that says, true religion is to minister to widows and orphans in their need. Okay, feet to faith is, what's that look like?
They need those little pieces that they have not gotten. So, and part of that is that unconditional acceptance and love and playfulness and life-giving that a family can give, not always perfectly, believe me, but we can give a piece, a taste of how God has designed it to be.
Bus, 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 bus.
The Brannon family now uses this school bus to get around after opening their hearts and home to foster kids.
Right now we have 8 children. We have 4 biological or homegrown, is what we call them, 2 handpicked, which we're foster adopt, and then right now we have 2 foster children.
Oh my gosh, you're getting so big. How'd you grow so fast?
I'm 6.
Biological son Zach enjoys having new siblings from time to time.
I love them with all my heart. We have great times together, and it just feels great.
Jonathan Good calls on the body of Christ to engage in orphan care in his film, Faultless. He also highlights the problem of finding homes for older foster kids who are often overlooked.
Some of us have got to start saying, we will care for you no matter how hard it is, because we think that Christ is worth it and because we think you are worth it.
Worth it, but not always easy.
Some families go in it and they think that, love's enough. And you know what? Love's a wonderful thing. And love does help heal wounds. But for some of our kids who've really, really been harmed, it takes a lot more than love. And it takes more than just that family.
That's why many believe the church is the answer.
Churches are used to dealing with crisis, used to trying to help families deal with whatever issues that they're facing. And so when a family goes through a difficult time, while adoption and foster care may have its unique challenges, there is a ready-made care structure in a church. And so Project 127 is seeking to bring the whole church to a child, not just a family, but then there's a whole church around that family.
I really felt like God said, this is a for such a time as this ministry. For such a time as these children come into your home, you pour into them, and it doesn't stop there. The Lord is going to take care of them, and the Lord is going to see to their needs.
I love that. For such a time as this ministry, for such a time as they're in their homes, they're going to take it.
Indeed. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
When you're driving along and your cell phone rings, do your eyes instantly go off the road? Then you need to get a grip. Hi, David Jones here with the new Grip Go, the most versatile hands-free mount that will instantly grip any phone for safe driving. Just attach the suction cup to your windshield or dash, and Grip Go grabs your phone ultra fast. Then it peels right off. And don't worry, there's no sticky residue left behind. The 360-degree pivoting mount allows you to always get the perfect viewing angle. It's even strong enough to grab and hold this expensive smartphone out the window. Yet it comes right off with ease. That's the advantage of Grip Go. You can get the amazing Grip Go with dashboard mount for only $14.95. We'll send you a second kit free. Just pay separate processing and handling. Get 2 complete Grip Go systems for just $14.95.
To order Grip Go for $14.95 plus processing and handling, call 1-800-709-5259 or order online at getgripgo.com.
Jim is 38, mortgage, married, 3 great kids. He wants to protect his family with a $500,000 term life insurance policy. What do you think it'll cost him? $100 a month? 60? 40? Actually, none of the above. Jim can get a $500,000 policy from a highly rated insurer for under $19 a month. His secret? SelectQuote. SelectQuote is impartial. They'll comparison shop the pick of insurance companies like these to give you a choice of your best prices. SelectQuote has great savings on term life for women, too. Jim's wife, Deidre, can get a $500,000 policy for under $16 a month. SelectQuote has helped make term life insurance affordable for hundreds of thousands of people since 1985. How about you? Just call this number or go to SelectQuote.com. SelectQuote. We shop, you save.
An Operation Blessing supported food pantry made it possible for one mother to continue to feed her family.
Indeed. Olivia is a single mom of 3 living in Pennsylvania, but serious medical problems forced her to stop working, and she could no longer support her family. Thanks to Operation Blessing, she was able to receive the groceries and supplies she needed at a food pantry. Today, Olivia's medical condition is under control, and she has been able to return to work.
I love it. Praise God for Operation Blessing.
She needed it.
Definitely.
Indeed.
That's all for now on the CBN News Channel.
Tell us what you think about the stories you've seen here today. You can do that on Facebook or at CBN News on Twitter. Hope you join us again right here next time. Have a marvelous Monday, everybody.
If you had a choice between going bald and a full head of hair, which would you choose? Advances in medical science have resulted in the world's first and only permanent solution to hair loss.
Yes!
You wash it, you cut it. It's your own real, naturally growing hair. When it comes to hair restoration, no one in the world has more experience than Bosley. The results look completely natural and are affordable on nearly any budget. But the entire process can't be explained in 60 brief seconds. So to find out more about this clinically proven and permanent solution to hair loss, call now to receive your free no-obligation information kit. It'll answer all of your questions about hair loss and hair restoration. Plus, we'll also send you this $250 gift certificate just for calling. Every day you wait, you're losing more hair. So don't put it off any longer. You owe it to yourself to find out the facts. Choose hair. Choose Bosley.
Call 800-868-9957. That's 800-868-9957.
Introducing the CBN Bible from CBN.com. Now, an easier way to study the Bible and grow in your faith. Highlight your favorite verse. Read separate versions at a glance. Click and read a commentary. Or cross-reference your favorite verse using the Strong's Concordance. All the right tools to study the Bible, all in one place. The CBN Bible, available at cbn.com/Bible or the iTunes App Store.